Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So there's a video on the internet right now by Austin Sweat titled 7 Most Overrated Players in NBA History. So this video's got a lot of heat on it. 2.2k likes, which is great. 1.5k dislikes, though. So I'm very curious to see which players this guy says are the most overrated in the entire NBA. So we're going to check this out, man, and just see what it's all about, I guess. So here we go. Make my bitch ass smaller right here. Here we go, guys.
Favorite players are not as good as everyone thinks, but I'll make it all up in an underrated players video soon, where I'll say that some of your favorite players are better than everyone gives them credit for. So subscribe so you can see that for yourself. But as for now, let's get into this one with number 1. Andrew Wiggins.
I agree with this one.
We had to include Wiggins, and we had to put him first just to get him out of the way because he's been the number 1 overrated guy in the league for a few years now.
He's just not very good.
Would probably make him properly rated since everyone's expectations of him are so much lower now, but we'll keep him on the list for now. Since high school, Wiggins was said to have been the next LeBron James and the next guy that would come into the league and take over. But while he had a solid start to his NBA career and started progressing at a good rate up until the 2016 and 17 season where he put up a career high 23 points a game, since then it's all gone downhill for Wiggins. And people started to realize the major flaws in his game. Like the fact that he's not a great defender, doesn't do much for his team besides score, and he's been taking more and more three-pointers every year.
He's been making them though, hasn't he?
Really shouldn't be. When
he's been making them this year, I think.
Wolves in 2017,
it's been okay.
We thought that was the main reason why Andrew Wiggins' development regressed. But even now that he's left the team, not much has changed.
Because he got paid,
now
man.
He's in his 5th year in the league, and it's clear that the former number 1 overall pick really doesn't look like he's ever going to be as good as people thought.
It's all mindset.
All of his problems are still there. He's shooting more threes this year than Kevin Durant, and having the worst statistical season of his career.
Durant plays with Stephen Curry and Klay
Thompson.
Thompson.
Down the line, he'll definitely stay as one of the most overpaid players in the league with his 4-year, $147 million contract. Number 2, Brandon Ingram. Now, it's still only Ingram's 3rd year in the league.
Right, it's too soon to call him overrated.
So things can still change. But for now, Ingram's been hyped up to be the next Kevin Durant or just the next huge star in the league. So much so that last year, Magic Johnson said Brandon Ingram was the Lakers' only untouchable player.
I think he's going to be a star still.
But now with how things
he can score that basketball,
dude. I don't know if
dude.
that's so much the case. And from what we've seen from him so far, I'd say his potential is definitely overrated. I mean, right now he's a solid all-around player, but still isn't great at any one thing. And for him to be thought of as the league's next superstar, he's putting up 15 points a game in his 3rd year in the league. But then you look at guys like LeBron James and Kevin Durant, who put up over 30 a game in their 3rd season.
Okay, that's fair, that's fair.
And Ingram's still a long, long way away from that.
Maybe not the next Durant.
He can still be great, but I don't think he's ever going to be as great as everyone expects him to be. And while we're on the subject of the Lakers' young players who have overrated potential, we've got to mention Lonzo.
Come on, man!
I don't think he's as overrated anymore because it's been made clear the type of player he's going to be for now. But I mean, after he was drafted,
come on,
Magic Johnson told Lonzo that he expects his jersey to be retired one day.
What the fuck,
man? He was the new face of the Lakers.
Really? Retired?
And then he had his disappointing rookie season. But even then, the hype was still there because a lot of people thought Lonzo was going to have a big breakout season this year, which he hasn't. So I think up until this past offseason, Lonzo Ball was probably overrated. But like I said, now we know what we're going to get from him. He's got huge potential, but he's still got a long way to go. Number 3, Russell Westbrook.
Yes, I agree with this one, man.
Overrated players video.
I agree with this one.
There's not too much that can be talked about that hasn't already been said though. And this is where a lot of people get angry, but he's a ball hog, pads his stats, isn't a great 3-point shooter, turns the ball over too much, and hasn't made it out of the first round of the playoffs.
Give me Damian Lillard. Give me Damian Lillard.
Some people still have him top 5 in the league, which he isn't. And all of those problems have followed Russ for most of his career and still exist today. He's been dealing with a couple injuries this season, but the man is still shooting 5 threes a game, only making 25% of them, and turning the ball over 4 times a game. OKC may look great right now, but still don't expect much from them when the playoffs come around. I will give Westbrook credit though, because even though he looks like he's still aiming for that 3rd consecutive triple-double and giving PG-13 room to have one of the best years of his career, it's a sign in the right.
I just gotta say real quick about Westbrook. I think he's a great player. Don't get me wrong there. Westbrook's a great player. It's just he doesn't lead to winning basketball. He just doesn't. He doesn't. People say, well, you got to the finals with Durant. Yeah, with Durant.
Direction,
Durant being the key word there, man.
Number 4, Trey Young. All the hype started for Trey Young last
Disagree.
year when he came out as a freshman for Oklahoma, and pretty early in the season, all of his highlights started showing up on ESPN and SportsCenter, and he started to get recognized as the next Steph Curry for how similarly they played. And his performance throughout the year is what took him from being a projected late first round or even a second round pick to potentially going top 5. But as his draft stock and his popularity rose, so did his doubters. Because even though he had a great offensive season and put up 27 points and 8 assists a game, it was clear that he had way too many turnovers, was a liability on defense, had poor shot selection at times, and these problems resulted in him having some ugly games, even leading his hometown Texas Tech fans to thinking he was overrated back then.
Don't get a steal, have to foul.
Wow, dude. That's disrespectful, man.
But then you fast forward to the NBA draft, where all of these problems still existed, but teams thought he was worth the risk, so Trey Young went 5th overall. And he did have a strong start to the season, putting up 19 and 8 on decent shooting numbers, and looking like he had the potential to be a Rookie of the Year candidate, and was proving all of his doubters wrong to start the year. But since then, his game's gone in the opposite direction, and all of those problems that people had questioned him about have started to show themselves.
Just a rookie,
but
though.
He's still got the same hype around him, and a lot of people still see him as a future star player. I mean, right now he is still averaging a solid 15 and 7 a game, but he's only shooting 37% from the field and 23% from 3.
Damn, that
ranking
is
5th in the league in
actually
turnovers
horrible.
a game with almost 4. He's still a liability on defense, takes questionable shots, and has found it hard to score at times, since he's only 6'2" and 180 pounds and not the best athlete. He's still only a rookie, and sure, shooters go into slumps, but personally, up until this point, I think Trey Young's been overrated, and he might not be able to turn out to be as good as everyone thinks he
Give him
will.
like 4
Number
seasons.
5,
He'll get there.
Kevin Love.
He'll get there.
Now that we've seen Love's career unravel itself, after all these years, I think we can say he's been overrated this
Bro, I love
whole
his
time.
jump shot, though.
I mean, in his Timberwolves days, he was thought of to be one of, if not the best power forward in the league. And he deserved that title because even though his team was terrible and he never could lead them to the playoffs, he would consistently put up some of the best numbers in the league, including a 30-30 game and averaging 26 and 12 for a couple of seasons, while shooting great numbers from 3 as a power forward. And then he gets moved to the Cavs to play with LeBron, and he instantly went from putting up that 26 and 12 to 16 and 9. But the excuse was that his production dropped because he was facing the same thing that Chris Bosh felt on the Heat with LeBron. But even then, after Kyrie left the Cavs in 2017 and Love was the second option in Cleveland, his game never stepped up in the regular season.
Yeah, but look at him before
or
he got
the
injured.
playoffs to anywhere near how it was in his Timberwolves
With,
days.
this
And
season.
people have waited for that Kevin Love to show back up, but he just never has. And I don't think he ever will.
Well, he's
now,
older
even
now,
if he does
too.
come back from his
Injury-prone.
injury this season and plays at that high level again, all it's going to mean is that he can only be a great player on a terrible team, and that he's been overrated. Number 6, DeMar DeRozan. Most places you look and most NBA fans you ask will have DeMar DeRozan as a top 2 or 3 shooting guard in the NBA.
Wow, dude.
Or at least they did. Now, throughout his career, he slowly progressed into a great player, and in 2016, he even put up 27 a game in his best season. He helped the Raptors become one of the top-ranked teams in the league, has only increased his value.
Got overrated,
He's always
though?
had some huge weaknesses, and even after getting traded to the Spurs, they still exist. Like the fact that he's never been a good three-point shooter, shooting 28% for his career
alright.
and
He gets it done other
16%
ways.
so far this season. He's never been a good defender, and the Raptors hid that behind his great offensive game. Now, I think this is something that Popovich and the Spurs should be able to help him with as the season goes on, but then there's DeRozan's biggest weakness that we're all definitely aware of him disappearing in the playoffs. But it doesn't look like that's
Nope.
going to be a
Yeah,
problem
he gonna make it
this
out
season
west.
because the Spurs aren't even going to make the playoffs. Now, the Spurs roster isn't great, but the man still hasn't made a huge difference for the team, and with all of his problems, it looks like he's been slightly overrated. Number 7, Devin Booker. Devin Booker definitely has all the potential to be a future superstar player one day, but for all the praise people give him currently, for what he brings to the table,
That's fair,
the
that's
man's
fair.
overrated. Sure, he's
That's
one of
fair.
the best scoring shooting guards in
He's
the league
promising,
at
though.
only 22 years old, and he put up 25 a game last year, and these are the reasons people praise him. But the reasons he's overrated are because of pretty much everything else. He's not a good defender, and has had one of the worst defensive ratings in the entire league for his entire career.
He's Klay
been known
Thompson
to
without
only
the off- or
score
without the
and not be
defense,
able
man.
to get assists or rebounds, but he has been turning this one around lately thanks to playing with DeAndre Ayton. But then the other most obvious thing is the fact that no matter how much he scores, it just doesn't translate to wins.
Right.
With the Suns continuing to be one of the worst teams in the league ever since he was drafted. Now, I get it, the Suns are the Suns, but Devin Booker's never won more than 28 games in a season, and him having a $158 million contract for being a good scorer on a
$158 million?
Oh
my God, dude!
On a winning team, then we can have a different conversation. Because for now, there's a chance his career plays out like a guy like Kevin Love. Hopefully he doesn't, but we'll all have to wait and see. In the meantime, though, don't forget.
Okay, yeah. I mean, some of these I definitely do agree with. I mean, there's a few words like you can question the reasoning behind it. Overall, though, I think he got it pretty good. I don't know if this video deserved about 1.5 thousand dislikes on it, like it got, but people got their favorite players out there, and that's the thing, man. You'll call somebody's favorite player on their favorite team, and they're just, I don't know, man. It goes over their head. They will not listen to reason. So I feel like he brought up some good points. Anyway, guys, give me your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Check out Austin Sweat. Link to the video in the description below.